Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Burwell, your host of VIE Speaks Conversations with Heart and Soul. A couple of years ago, we started this podcast as a new media platform for us to tell more stories, see people, talk to them so that we can get more in depth. And our guest today is one of my favorite people of all time that I've met along my journey of 15 years publishing VIE Magazine. His name is Nathan Yoakum, and he is a phenomenal artist. This is his second time on our podcast. He was in Season 1, and now he's in Season 2. Nathan, welcome to the podcast yet again.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Yeah, you are one of my favorite people, and I loved our podcast at the beginning a couple of years ago, and you were so raw and real, and your story of an artist is so great, and I didn't think we had exhausted all of our conversations, so this is part 2.
No, never.
Oh, never.
Yeah, never.
So bring us up to speed on what you've been doing in the last 2 years.
So I have been working very hard, been staying very busy with commissions, been doing a lot more commission work, which is good. It keeps me busy and focused and goal-oriented on where I want to be with my work and just keep progressing, every year with my work and making sure that I'm not just staying in my own mind when it comes to my work, but being influenced by other artists and the times and the culture that we're in. For sure.
It was crazy times, right?
It was.
Yeah.
We went from doing the podcast, I think, to just COVID.
Yeah.
And that
shortly
shut
after.
down kind of everything.
Right. Well, this beautiful piece of art that we have on the table here, courtesy of you, thank you so much. It's beautiful. This is a commission piece that you were telling me about that you're doing for somebody.
Yeah, so this is a commission piece I've done for someone locally for a business, and I hope she really likes it. And
when is she going to see it?
She will be seeing this on Tuesday.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm sure she's going to love it. Hard not to love this beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, it's very form-oriented, abstract, obviously, and I think a lot of my abstraction and my three-dimensional form work with resin has definitely evolved. As of back in when I first started doing resin work, which is probably 2003, and then just it progressing and my first real show with my textured work was back in 2008, and that was at the Hunter Museum of American Art, and I was in a art show and a gala, and I was chosen out of 20-something thousand artists.
I don't think we talked about that before.
Yeah, I don't think we got into it. That was in the Jayetkingallery downtown. He had a really giant gallery at one point downtown. And
in Memphis.
Yeah, in Memphis, and the Hunter Museum was there looking for new artists and new emerging artists and different works than they've seen before, and they picked 4 of my pieces out, and they were shown in a gala there.
Wow.
And so I was hanging next to some really famous American artists like Andy Warhol and Chuck Claus and some other real famous people. So it was a real honor in 2008, when I was still real young.
Right.
Doing
and it
work.
was this medium?
And it was this medium.
Okay.
It wasn't as refined as it is now.
Okay.
It was very, very three-dimensional Jackson Pollock type of stuff. Which obviously I was definitely, he was definitely impressed on me at a young age. And, it was really good work, and having Jay to support my work at that time I was just in the right place at the right time, and I had the right work they wanted to see.
Wow. Was that the first opportunity that you had with Jay, who, by the way, is your mentor?
That was the first real big opportunity outside Jay's gallery, even though his gallery in Memphis is real well established and he's well known, and he's my mentor, so he, he's always pushed me to progress in my work, and he will send me different artists at times to really dig into, so that I can get influenced by other works. And it was a great opportunity because I was when I was young and my parents got divorced and I lived on the streets and I had really nothing and no real structure, and Jay he really gave me that structure in the art world and helped me progress and believed in my work. And I started going to Jay when I was I think the first time I met Jay, I was 16. And then the second time was 17. And then after that, I kept going to him. And then in my 20s, he gave me my first show. And then I just kept doing shows with him.
So when you were 16, because I didn't know you met him that early in your life, what art were you doing then that you brought to him?
When I was doing art then, it was very Dali-esque, kind of very surrealism stuff, which I was very into surrealism, obviously, at the time, and I just progressed out of it. There's not too many people that want surrealism artwork, so there wasn't a huge market for it. And so I slowly just kind of progressed out of it. And Jay challenged me to progress out of that as well and find all these other different artists, to focus on and to grab from and to learn from and hear how they do their work and their techniques and their thought process.
But he had to see something in you when you were 16 with that genre of art.
Yes.
That he saw in you, that you were very good.
Yeah, I definitely, he probably did. I mean, before him, obviously, I was in all my arts classes in high school and stuff, and I have Spectrum 1 issue, and I have some other learning disabilities, so I didn't do well in the typical school setting, but I did really well in art and other things that I was interested in, and like shop class. And instead of in shop class, people would go in and work on lawnmowers. My shop teacher taught me how to weld. So I was making three-dimensional sculptures out of steel in high school and getting grades for my sculpture. So I really had two art classes going on.
Oh my gosh.
And it was, I had really good art teachers, and art is my savant. It's what I do. It's what I know. It's what I love. It's
who you are.
Yeah, it's my passion. Yeah. And a lot of that too probably is because my dad's an architect, and I was exposed to architecture and art at a really young age, and in museums and stuff that he would take me to, and even at a really young age when we went to D.C., I remember for the first time going into the Modern Museum of Art, even as a child, and seeing all that beautiful art and seeing those huge pieces of art on the wall, and just the impact that it had on me as an artist. It was definitely there. And I started drawing when I was probably 5 or 4 years old, drawing dinosaurs. And in the 4th grade, I was drawing a lot of comics, and I had a Batman drawing that I did, and my teacher put it to the Commercial Appeal in Memphis, and they put it in the Commercial Appeal at the time. So I just, I've always been into art, and even when I was in elementary school, my art teachers would let me do set design for the plays and stuff. So I'd be painting
in elementary school?
Yeah, I would be painting some of the designs. Like my first real art teacher, there was Mary Poppins and the pumpkin and all the flowers and stuff, and she taught me how to paint vines and stuff. And then I helped her do, in 4th grade, I helped her do the big giant pumpkin on cardboard, and like the wood setup and all that. And it was very they made sure I was, always progressing. I had some really good art teachers.
That's so good.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a good experience in school other than that, right?
Yeah, school was real rough for me. I didn't, I was not the greatest communicator when I was young. It's probably hard to believe now, but
it is. Actually,
I've overcome quite a bit of stuff. I used to be very introverted, and
I love seeing this extroverted.
Yeah, I had some behavioral problems as well. I wasn't probably the easiest person, but I think a lot of kids that have learning disabilities and other issues going on would tend to be nuisances when we need to be. And
Wow. Well, not to major on the minors here for your life, but just because you brought it up when you said you were on the streets, what did that mean when you say you were on the streets? Truly on the streets?
Yeah. So after graduation, I was kicked out of my house.
Okay.
My parents were divorced, and my mom was kind of doing her thing, and my dad was doing his, and he didn't want me in the house anymore. And I didn't really have any. Once their marriage started going bad, it was just everything became very chaotic. And it was at the end of my high school year. So where kids were focused on going to college, I was like, where am I going to live? Because I knew that day was coming. Like, it was already told to me that I would have to leave the house. So I was on the streets of Memphis for a while. And when I mean on the streets, meaning have nowhere to stay, meaning living on the streets, either sleeping in my car, or sometimes I would have a friend that would let me stay, and I could take a shower and, get back on it. And it was a very hard road. And I was also, I had no real support. Whereas before I had some support from my parents when they were together, and my dad was encouraging me. Even I used to go to, at Memphis, they used to have a portfolio day, and all the colleges would come to look at your portfolio. And I had a half a scholarship to Kansas City of Art Institute, and then I had a half to Memphis. But really, without that support and no money, that's a big deal. It's not just going to college. You got to have some sort of support.
Correct.
And I just didn't have that support.
I'm sorry. That makes me sad.
Well, I used to get real upset about it. But the older I get, I realize that those experiences made me who I am.
Exactly.
And a lot of artists have gone through similar ordeals, that I've kind of gone through. But I had a really great family who took me in at one point, and I lived in a little shack in Orange Mound, deep within the Memphis scene. And I did get into some trouble when I was young, and I had gone to jail, and I went to an all boys facility, it's Teen Challenge, and they helped me get on the right track. And but Jay was always there. He was always there supporting my work, and it really didn't take me on until my 20s, because obviously he's not going to take on an artist that's not totally, ready to be serious,
right?
But I'm very thankful for the Jay and his gallery and what he's done, and he still does this for the youth. He's very engaged with the community and other artists, and getting them and making them understand what it takes to be an artist, because it's not just about the work, it's about the business part of it, and knowing what your value is of your work, and not devaluing your work.
Right. Well, for point of reference, you were on our cover 2 years ago, in a beautiful photo that was taken in Memphis, right?
Yeah.
Just absolutely stunning, and I loved it. And then in that article feature, you mentioned Jay a lot, and how grateful you are for his mentorship, his friendship, and being, tethering. You could always go back to him when you needed to, and now you still keep in good contact with him. Oh,
yeah. And even when we lived here before I moved back, and we lived on Hilltop. And I was doing art and selling art through designers and stuff. And then we decided to go back to Memphis for a while, because Jay wanted me to help him run the gallery for a while. And that's a great opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
To help him around the gallery, and then have more influence.
Right.
Because you can't just learn you can't become a really good artist unless you surround yourself with other good artists. And being in that gallery provided me the opportunity to ask questions, to be vulnerable, to be willing to have a teachable spirit, and to be taught, and to listen to other artists that were older than me that had influence on me, like Pam Cobb and some of Jay's other artists, and watch them, how they maneuver different situations. And as far as mentoring goes, Jay's mentor is Philip Pearlstein, who's an American famous artist too, and he does very realism type paintings, and he adds items of pop and stuff like that into his work. And he actually just passed this year, and it goes to show you, if Philip Pearlstein didn't step out and be that guiding light to Jay, I would be lost.
Correct.
I wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
And it is emotional for me because he's done so much for me, things that I cannot give back that I would love to. And time, he gave his time, his life, his time, and he still does this today, and it's amazing. And he treats every artist that walks through his gallery, he treats the same, and he takes the time, and it's amazing,
I hope I get to meet him, because I know you speak so
I do too.
highly and fondly of him. I really do. I'm just going to have to go to Memphis and say hi.
you may have to do that.
We'll go together.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
Yeah. Do you have art hanging there now?
Yes, so I have my newer series,
The black and white?
the black and
Okay.
white series, which is forms kind of like this, but I added the black lines to it because
It's beautiful.
thank you.
I love it.
I was using VR. I use virtual reality to paint in sometimes and sculpt in,
Right.
because it helps me get those creative juices flowing. And I was using tilt brush, and I noticed one of the brushes is the white form with the black outlines in it, and it just had that appeal to me. So Keith Haring used to use the very solid black lines in the pop art, and that brush reminded me of that. And then I was forming it in my normal forms in VR, and I thought to myself, well, I could do this in real life. So I just started painting the black lines on my white pieces, and that's kind of where that turned into. And the emotional aspect of that solid black lines with that white, it's very, some of my pieces, they're kind of figurative, obviously, because abstract is always kind of figurative in a point, but it's very emotional. Even this one has a lot of movement in it, and texture.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've done so many different forms of art and styles of art. Subject matters. One of them, want to talk about the banana?
The banana.
Come on, we'll get the banana.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about this. The genesis of this, and how you got started in this. And I love how you sign your banana here.
So the bananas, I really did started doing the bananas is because it's such a pop iconic thing for Andy Warhol when he was using his bananas. And I was like, well, I really just want to make a banana that's pop art, that's more solid and more of a sculpture than just a flat form, And I had seen that guy tape that banana to the wall and make all that money. I was like, well, I mean, I could do my own version of the banana. So for a while I was doing these bananas like glued to panels. Nigel's and Seahide has some of those bananas, and has sold several bigger versions.
Oh, they
of
have?
it.
Oh, that's
no, they haven't.
Okay,
but I have sold several through designers.
Okay,
but I haven't done any since. I kind of do things, and then I stop doing things, and then I'll do something else. I try not to get bogged down in one thing. I know a lot of artists, they'll just do the same thing over and over and over again. That could be maddening. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah.
But like if you look at Robert Rauschenberg's work, for instance, he started off very different from where he ended, with where he would just take things and they were just these giant combines, and then it just progressed into my work that I also do, which is not sculptural, which is my silkscreen paintings, where I use silkscreen images and I use abstraction and kind of work on like the one I just did, which was the Angie Dickinson, the 3 Angie Dickinsons, and to evoke those emotions in that actress and just try to capture that.
Where is that now?
That's a private collection.
Oh,
that's a private collection. Someone bought that one and had it commissioned.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very nice.
They actually bought the screen too.
Okay.
That I used to make it.
Really?
So I've sold several screens as art because one day I had a show at Jay's and I was like, hey Jay, what do you think about this? And I just stuck my screen on the wall. I was like, now it is the art. Instead of it making the art, it should be the art.
Wow.
Because there's such an art form into making a silk screen.
Right. Wow.
And so I sold my first screen, big giant Elvis one in Memphis, to a private collector.
When did you do that?
Oh gosh, that was
Before you moved here? Before
I
okay,
moved
so like
here.
10 years ago or something. Yeah. So speaking of, kind of all your Memphis roots and everything, and obviously your artistry, which I'm a huge fan, and I think you're brilliant at what you do. Absolutely brilliant and prolific.
Thank you.
Beyond prolific, actually. There's another side to you. There are several sides to you, but one of them being when you were in Memphis, you were dabbling in movies.
Yes, I was doing some acting. I had done some commercials, and then I did the Sun Records TV show. It only lasted one season, unfortunately, but I just loved it. I loved being on set. I love being around other creative people. It's so interesting because when you're on set and you're around all these creative people, everybody's bouncing energy off of everybody. There's not really. It's kind of like being in Disney World. And it's really cool. And it was really fun. And I was in several scenes. I think I was in like 12 scenes as the background. And then I had one scene, but we didn't get to the second season, but I had done the scene with Winona Ryder's stunt double. And there was like a fight at the brawl and it breaks out and a gun gets pulled out and everything. And that was a really cool scene. It's sad that no one will ever see it, but it was really cool.
Why? You can't watch it on, any reruns or YouTube or something?
You can get the first season on Amazon to watch, which is Sun Records. But the second season obviously didn't go through, so no one probably, I don't know. That would probably be
on the cutting room floor, as they say. Never made it.
Somebody owns that film, and it's not going to be able to be seen. But
so how many episodes was the first season?
Is it 7? Yeah, I think 7, yeah.
And so is that where you met
So Lansky, who's the shirt you're wearing,
right?
I got that from Hal Lansky, and he sold me that. He's a great guy. I did some T-shirt designs for him with Elvis that had to obviously get approved by the Elvis Corporation, and I did a clutch purse. We did a really limited run of those, and those are really cool. But my dad is actually friends with Hal. So he introduced me to Hal probably when I was a little bit younger, and then when I was doing the movie and stuff, I just really became, I guess, even more infatuated in a way with Elvis, not in a weird way, but just his energy, what he provided and the people that he affected around him, his creative drive and his force. I mean, without Elvis, there's no telling what happens, Without all these creative people in the world, this world would be super boring, and there's no telling what we would miss.
Right.
And
is this a shirt that you said Elvis
So Elvis wore that shirt, not that shirt, but he wore that same design. Yeah.
All right.
He was very fashionable at the time.
Yes, well, he was always very fashionable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I don't know that at the time TV people were not ready for him, but he was
not ready for prime time.
He was his own abstraction and his own,
Yeah.
energy into this world.
Yeah,
a
totally.
driving force.
Yeah.
And
not to bring up a super bad thing, but it's so timely, and it only happened in the last week.
Yeah.
But Lisa Marie Presley
passing away.
Passing is super, super sad too.
It is very sad, especially with the movie that had just just come out, which was amazing. And Austin Butler, he was he was dead on. I mean, it was awesome watching him be Elvis. I mean, there were several times you couldn't even tell the difference.
I know.
And I had grown up listening to Elvis because my grandfather would always sing Elvis when I was little. And he was in the choir, and he sounded just like Elvis. And I'd gone to church at the same church that Elvis went to, and there was this seat that had a plaque on it. So I would purposely go sit in that seat because I wanted that energy. I wanted to be, that presence of someone so great like that. Yeah. Like, I mean, I thought those things. It's probably my imagination, And at one point in time,
probably true.
At one point in time, I thought my grandfather was Elvis when I was really young. I really had that in my head.
Did he look like him?
He was. He did kind of look like him, and it was just one of those, those things. I think my imagination when I was a child was just absolutely.
Well, our imagination as children is boundless, and it's just when we get to the age of knowing, probably around 13 or 14, we get all closed in and closed up and buttoned up, and we can't do anything anymore.
And that's the trick to acting. When I was doing acting classes and doing all that, that is the trick. Or not really trick. It's you pretending like you were when you were a child. When you were a child, you played. Whether it's guns outside or army or whatever you were in character. Yes, you were in character. And actually that. Helped me a lot with my some of my spectrum issues because I could picture myself as a different person or a character to help give me that confidence to speak or to get through whatever issue I was having. I had a lot of trouble reading because of my dyslexia, and I spell phonetically, which means I spell everything like it sounds. It doesn't matter what the word is. It's always going to be like that, and it doesn't, so it did make it makes it challenging. Probably the real bad one that I remember is being in reading class and everybody pointing at me and laughing at me. That was pretty tough.
Wow.
But
if they could see you now.
Cool
cat, but making beautiful art.
The cool thing is, I get messages from old people in high school and they compliment me on my work or they say something nice because I always treated people with respect and I loved on everybody. And much of my dad's, to his chagrin, when he was always gone when I was in high school and mom left and he would leave the house and he would leave us, I would have parties, and I would invite a lot of different type of people to my party. I loved all the different types of people. I love how everybody is different. It's like an abstract painting, no one wants to be in a room with the same people. Like they're all the same.
True.
It's just boring.
It's boring.
It is boring. Yeah. So I just, I love experiencing life. I love talking to people. Now I like to listen to people's stories. And I like to just sit silently on the beach and just stare at people or go surfing.
Or surf, yeah.
Yes, I love to surf. Yeah. Surfing is...
It's your zen.
It is. It is. It does it for me for sure. I mean, there's just something very peaceful. And I mean, a lot of times I surf alone. My wife doesn't like it very much, but it's so peaceful. And there's something about surfing alone too, and you just kind of let go. You have to let go, and I think that's how life is. We just have to let go of those things that can hold us back.
But you're in a good place. I know that you're in a super good place right now.
Yeah. I'm in a very good place. I mean, I made it so far. I mean, I lived in a shack in Orange Mound, and now I'm living by the beach, and I have my own house that's paid for. And that is a great. That's a great feeling to have, because I had opportunities, and I used to think I was robbed of a lot. But now that I look back on my life, I was enriched and I wasn't robbed.
True. And you have a great wife, Polly. Yeah, she's a good partner. She's supportive.
She's a great wife, and she supports my work. And when things get difficult, she's there to help me, navigate those things. Especially social events where I can get a little awkward. If it's just me and you, it's so much better.
Yeah.
But if there were like other people in this room, I would start probably sweating
Right,
profusely.
right. But I think I think you've even made a lot of headway in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think you're even more free with that. Yeah.
I took on my therapist in Memphis, Dr. Panter, really helped me see some things that I needed to see. And also, there are so many YouTubes and people to listen to and things that you can do to navigate whatever you're dealing with now. There's so many more resources and tools now. Where when I was in elementary school, they just stick you in resource. You just become resource, and then the worst part of resources, if you truly have the learning disabilities, they stick you in a resource class. But the trick is, the people that are beating you up and bullying you, those people are stuck in that class too, but not for the reasons why you're in there.
Right.
You're in there.
It's a holding tank.
It's a holding. Yeah. So it was like that.
Right.
That does make
that did not help.
Yeah. I wish they would change that to where you wouldn't put the.
I just wish there weren't bullies anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, bullies help us grow.
True.
They help us grow.
Even though it's so sad.
It is sad. But if you can learn from those things, and if you can turn that thing and make it positive, and you will be an overcomer over that, and it will not affect you.
Right. Let's why don't you share some, because you have so much wisdom and all that you've gone through. So artists starting out right now. So you're kind of on the other side of years of perfecting your art, learning how to sell it, be the business person, you've been mentored. What do you think of the art scene now and what you can impart for words of wisdom?
So the art scene has changed. And I hear this a lot. Some of the younger artists, they don't need the galleries.
Okay. They don't need them?
Yeah, they'll say that.
They say that, right.
But that is not good advice because the gallery will expose you to other artists.
Yeah.
Okay. And get you so you can learn from them and they can learn from you. And you need to be exposed to that. So for young artists, I would say do some art shows. Your family may think you're brilliant and genius and all, but if you really want to get good, you got to surround yourself with better people than you.
Right.
You can't just stay in your own controlled box. You gotta put yourself out there, and it is hard. And yes, some people may really hate your stuff, and some people may really love your stuff. But you have to have the drive. It doesn't come at a whim. Things don't just come to you, they're earned. And I feel like in my life, I've had to earn everything and go through those seasons in life and the challenges, but it's made me a better artist, and I've seen some artists that they may be selling stuff overnight, but then 5 years from now, they're not doing art anymore because they didn't go through those steps. I think you got to go through those steps of hardship and struggle to become a better artist or teacher or architect or doctor. I mean, you want a seasoned doctor. You don't want, you don't want a doctor who's like, I'm a genius and everybody loves me. Right. You want the no's. You want the rejection. Rejection builds character. Jay at first rejected some of my work, and I had to take that in and deal with those things and get better and not say, well, I'm just so good. You have to get to a point to be teachable. Teachable spirit is the best thing in the art world. But
in any world.
Yeah, in any world. And, if you can't get into college, like I couldn't get into college because I didn't have that support group to take me all the way there. I had Jay, find a mentor, someone who's been doing it a lot longer than you that can give you wisdom and truly get that wisdom from them. Don't just go to them to go to them. Go to them to listen, to really soak it in and take what they're saying so that you become a better rounded artist, And I see a lot of artists they'll look at somebody's work and then they'll just start copying their stuff. That's not real. That's not you. When I see people's portfolio, I can see I can see where they're copying somebody, and I can see where their real work is, where they're really putting their heart. And I would say, do you, just do you. It's okay if you're taking, if you're mixing other artists that influence you and doing your own work. That's okay, because that is what art is. It's being influenced by other artists and doing it your own way and taking that. But always progress yourself. Try not to put yourself in that box.
What are some future goals that you have for your life, specifically in relationship to your art, your artistry?
Well, I would like to keep selling, which I am.
Good. I like hearing that.
I would love to have a show in New York, but that's going to come when it comes.
All right.
And I
But
don't
that's
wanna
good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't want to force it. And I do want that opportunity, and I know I'm going to have to put some real investment time. And I don't know if I don't know if I'm there yet. I want to be at the right time. Whenever if it ever does happen, that would be great. And if it doesn't, it doesn't matter, because I'm still going to do my work. I'm still going to do my art regardless,
I'm glad you told me that, because I can see you in a show in New York, and I think you're ready right now. And so that now that it's on my radar, I'm going to have my ears and eyes wide open. Okay, because I didn't know. I love that.
Yeah, I mean that would be, I think, the ultimate.
Okay.
The ultimate thing.
All right.
For any artist, obviously, it would be, for sure.
Right.
And I've sold pieces to collectors and stuff, private collections, some people in New York, but not like, a show. And I've had shows, obviously, with the Jayetkingallery, and I've had shows at the Chic Evolution Art Gallery in Atlanta. And either that or Art Basel would be another one.
Okay.
Jay has been talking about some Art Basel stuff.
I hope you do that too.
I know that is a big expense, obviously, because of what they charge to get in it. But I mean, I do believe my work is,
You could get a sponsor. Someone could sponsor you to go in. Yeah, I'll be
another
thinking of
gallery or anything like that. For sure.
Well, tell everybody where your art is here locally, and so that they can go see some of your art and your website. And all
so locally you can contact me. You can go to my website at nathanalanyoakum.com, and then you can call me or email me. You can also go to Modern Interiors in Miramar Beach, and you can work with Todd and George and Carrie, Lindsay, or Jamie, and they will help you. I do a lot of work with them, and I do work with designers in Memphis as well. And obviously Jay sells my work. But, I like this. I do like selling work through designers because they kind of cut out the people that are just talking about buying artwork and the people that actually do buy artwork.
Right.
And so that's nice because it kind of gives me that buffer. I do like to have a buffer. I do like to go through a gallery or a designer just because of that.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big fan. And I consider you a friend, and I think you're the greatest of great guys. Thank you for letting me don this shirt that was at one point in time this actual design worn by Elvis.
Yeah.
And I'll give it back to you after I get it dry cleaned.
No, you keep that thing. Yeah.
It was so fun, and I'm so glad you came back.
Well, thank
and
you
I'm so happy for all your success.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm very honored.
I'm honored. Well, everybody, it's been so exciting to talk about where Nathan is today. And I'm super excited about him. And really, he is a magnificent artist. And if you're interested in his work, you know where to get it. And I hope you enjoyed the interview and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.